A woman can be beautiful but still not good for your life. And this is probably one of the hardest things for a man to learn. Because when you're strongly attracted to someone, your brain will start making excuses, for things that you already know or that your gut already knows is a problem. A woman can be beautiful but still not be good for your life. And I think essentially learning this takes time, especially as a man. Because, like I've said, you start looking over things. You start explaining things away into the wind. You start saying, yeah, but she's had a hard past, or she didn't mean it like that, or that was just, a one-off. It's just a situation. Maybe things will be different next time. And sometimes maybe they will be, but sometimes I think what you're really doing is ignoring the effect that the person has on your life. Because attraction is powerful, big time. Beauty is powerful. Chemistry is powerful. History is powerful. History is compelling. Attraction is compelling. But none of these things automatically mean someone is actually good for you. And as men, I think we can get this wrong, and often do. We think because somebody is beautiful, or because we desire them, or because we have shown good chemistry or have some form of history, then that must mean there is something special there. But desire is not always wisdom. In fact, it rarely is. Wisdom is something which comes from experience. Desire is something which is different to wisdom completely. Attraction is not always alignment. There may be heavy amounts of attraction there, but if you're unaligned, it's never going to work, no matter how attractive or attracted you are. Think of two magnets, for example. If you've got two magnets which are compelled to attract, but if they're on different planets, then they never will. And this is where alignment comes into place. Chemistry is not always peace, and sometimes chemistry is just chaos with a good body. And sometimes the attraction is just your central nervous system recognizing something familiar, not something healthy. And this is where a man has to become brutally honest with himself. Not bitter, not cold, not resentful, just honest. Ask yourself, when I'm around this person, do I become better or worse? Do I feel calmer or confused? Do I feel respected, or do I feel like I've constantly got to prove myself? Do I feel energized or drained? Does this person add or subtract? Because looks and attraction can pull you in, but the character is what you have to live with. You don't build a life with someone's face. You build a life with their habits, their emotional control, their loyalty, communication, respect, their values, their ability to handle conflict, their ability to take accountability. And this applies both ways. It's all these things which I've mentioned: values, accountability, respect, communication. It's not just them. The onus isn't on just them, it's on you too. You have to actually think, am I good for her life? Because it's very easy to demand peace from someone else while you're bringing chaos yourself. It's very easy to say, you want a good woman, but then not be a stable man. So this isn't about blaming women at all. This is about choosing better and becoming better. Because ultimately, at some point, if you're trying to rebuild your life, you cannot keep choosing people based on only attraction. You can't keep letting beauty override your standards. You can't keep saying to yourself that you want peace while chasing chaotic situations which disturb your peace. There comes a point in life where your future has to matter more than your impulses, and that's a big line to drill in. Your future has to matter more than your impulses. Your children have to matter more than your attraction. Your self-respect has to matter more than the feeling of being wanted. Because ultimately a beautiful woman can still be bad timing. A beautiful woman can still be emotionally unavailable. A beautiful woman can still pull you away from the man you are trying to become. And the difficult thing is sometimes, she might not have, or she might not be a bad person. She might have good qualities. She may come with warmth. She may come with a good heart. She may be genuinely caring and kind and thoughtful. But that still does not automatically mean the relationship is right, And this is a mature thing to understand. And young men, it takes a while for them to get this. Some get it sooner. Often, men get it later. Generally, experience is the thing which teaches this lesson. When you're younger, you think attraction is enough, or you generally lean towards that idea. You think if there is chemistry, then you should pursue it. You think if someone is beautiful, then and there is connection, then that must mean something. But as you get older, especially if you've been through loss, divorce, heartbreak, chaos, and rebuilding, you realize peace is attractive, consistency is attractive, stability is attractive, emotional maturity is attractive, being able to talk without everything turning into a drama is attractive, being able to trust somebody is attractive, being able to build something with someone is attractive. And yes, physical attraction matters big time. Of course it does. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that it doesn't, because it does. You should be attracted to the person you're with, definitely. But attraction should not be the thing which makes the decision. Because if all someone brings is beauty, eventually the cost becomes too high. The arguments cost you. The stress costs, the uncertainty costs, the distraction costs, your time, your life. The emotional highs and the lows, they cost. If you're a man trying to build something, whether it's your body, your business, your mind, your life, your finances, your relationship with your children, your confidence, your purpose, you have to be very careful who you let close to you, because the wrong person can pull you backwards very quickly. Not always intentionally, but through drama, through instability, through confusion, through mixed signals, through emotional pressure, through making you question yourself constantly, And that is why the question cannot just be, well, is she beautiful? The question has to be, is this good for my life? Is she good for my life? Does she add peace? Does she respect me? Does she respect the direction I'm going in? Can we communicate? Can I trust her? Does she make me stronger, calmer, more focused? Or does she actually pull me into a version of myself I'm trying to leave in the past? Because this is the real test. And sometimes the strongest thing you can do as a man is not to chase. Not to chase the thing you want in the moment. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is pause, observe the situation, and ask yourself, is this actually aligned with the life that I want? Is this aligned with the life that I'm building? Because beauty can get your attention, and it will, and it does. I can almost guarantee within the last 7 days, if you're a man, for most men, there is some form of beauty which has distracted your eyeball. Most definitely, especially with the internet. But the peace should keep your attention. If you're rebuilding your life, your standards have to become stronger than your impulses. I said that before, it's worth saying again. It's something which I try my very best to live by, and I'll say it one more time. If you're rebuilding your life, your standards have to become stronger than your impulses. So yes, she might be beautiful, but is she actually good for your life? That's the question. And deep down, most of the time, you already know the answer.